All right, everybody, what's going on out there in the internet? It's Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, back again with some warring triads action for you, and we've got a legend group that is Group D in our little 4-section triad. That doesn't make much sense, but it makes more sense when you see the standings here. Tonight we are featuring a runner from Team Bahamut, that'll be SeelingKatt, and a runner from Team Phoenix, that'll be js8271986. And you'll see that Team Bahamut currently holding on to second place underneath Raiden's complete dominance of the Legend group so far. Phoenix trying to claw themselves back in it, as the top two teams will be moving on from the group stage in each of the groups to the knockout bracket stage. So very important for Phoenix to try and get out here a bit early. And what are we going to be doing tonight? Well, we are going to be doing Goddess's Edict flags here. We start with 4 characters. We need 7 of them and 10 Espers to unlock Final Kefka. If you defeat 3 dragons, you get auto shell. If you defeat 4 dragons, you get auto haste. If you do complete the Help the Injured Lad quest, you get both of those. After 7 checks, you get auto overcast and auto condemned, which means a timer is above your head like a sword of Damocles, and if it comes down on one of your characters, instead of dying, they will turn into zombies. So that basically means that you need to buy a bunch of Revivifies because your life spells, your Phoenix Downs, they're not going to help you after 7 checks. Multi-summon is on. We are going to be learning more magic, and we have more lures to start off with, as well as some defensive item rewards, including a Mega Elixir and a Thunder Shield. And the Thunder Shield will be able to teach us lightning spells in this seed. Fire spells and ice spells are off the table. So additionally in this one here, we are going to be unlocking Kefka Tower Skip, let's take this down, at either 9 characters or 12 Espers or 23 checks. That was what the roll was for this particular seed, as you see over on JS's screen there, sporting the default blue and white. Meanwhile, SeelingKatt is our runner on the left-hand side, kind of going with a bit of a goddess color palette vibe here, little yellow on yellow action going on, although I think that looks like something I would not want to see my cat doing in their litter box with those particular colors there. And we'll see which one of our 4 characters our runners will start out with. With 4 characters, that usually means that there are a lot of decisions at the beginning of a seed as to which characters you're going to go get. And remember, the scaling in all of the Warring Triads flags is checks times 2.5 for levels and HP MP of enemies, with the enemy XP and GP only scaling based on your character's Espers and Dragons. We do start with 4 characters, so our grind fights will give us more XP than normal, but we do have to be careful about our check count, as level 50 is the maximum scaling in this flag set. And also, as well as with all Warring Triads flags, the statues are shuffled amongst themselves in Kefka's Tower, so that is going to be where the real fun begins, I believe. So we're going to get our runners off and started here. And we'll see exactly who they start off with. This hopes to be a really good matchup between these 2 runners, Team Bahamut and Team Phoenix, as I mentioned, 2nd and 3rd place in their group. So we'll see who decides to get on the board first here, as we'll get going. If you are interested in looking at the stats for Warring Triads, there is a command there in the chat that I just had, as we got Celeste, Gao, Strago, Realm with Magitech, Tools for Strago, Sword Tech, Capture Natural Magic, Gao, Throw for Celeste. Wow, we have some really heavy hitters for offense so far in this seed with our characters. Unfortunately, we will not be able to do the unlock of the full Magitech tree. That is not something that gets done with Goddess's flag set. So normally when you get Celeste and a Magitech character, your eyes light up, but that is not going to be the way that it's going to go in this particular seed. Dragoon Boots in a crate there, and both of our runners starting out here in South Figaro, where we can go get Celeste's check down in the basement. Earrings for sale already in the first relic shop there. That'll be nice, as Celeste has throw, so we're going to be looking for some shurikens and some elemental skeins in order for her to throw. We do have a debilitator that we start off with. We do get one drill, one tool, and there are some shurikens and a chainsaw there at the bottom. It looks like SeelingKatt does have enough money to go pick it up, so we'll pick that up. One of our characters does have tools. I believe it's Strago. There is a Sword Tech Capture Natural Magic Gao, and I forgot what Realm had. Yep, don't quite remember what Realm had, but we'll find out sooner before long, as there are some bolt edges to buy in that shop there. So we'll see if SeelingKatt decides to sell anything and decides to sell a big knife that we may not get to use later on. A lot of the times when runners have throw, they tend to not sell some of those items just to make sure that they could throw them later on at Final Kefka, especially a high battle power item like a striker. JS, meanwhile, buying a fat stack of 99 shurikens. That's probably way too many for a single seed, but hey, you want to be able to get them just in case, and they're cheap enough anyway. SeelingKatt, meanwhile, transitioning over to the World of Ruin South Figaro, and yes, you can loot the exterior chests in both the World of Balance and the World of Ruin for South Figaro, so she's going to take advantage of that here. And we've got JS still continuing on with the World of Balance South Figaro. We'll see if he decides to check the basement in the World of Balance, and it looks like he is. The basement chests are the same no matter which world you go into, as there are a stack of Revivifies that SeelingKatt is buying. Remember, after 7 checks, we get auto-condemned and auto-overcast, which means our characters will turn into zombies, so our Phoenix Downs, our life spells, will not be applicable or useful at that point in time. So that's why we get a fat stack of Revivifies now, making sure that we get them, as we do see some Thunder Rods there. We will have Thunder Magic available in this seed. We will not be able to learn Fire and Ice Magic, so those Thunder Rods are a good idea, but not a necessity, as we do get Cyan, which is huge. His X-Magic ability is terrible. However, that Sword Tech Gao now really going to come into his own, because unlike the Magitech upgrade, the Sword Tech upgrade is available with all of the Warring Triads flag sets. So that means if we go through Cyan's Dream, we'll be able to level up Gao all the way with his Sword Tech ability. So Cyan going to ride the bench, but is going to provide great utility, because, as I mentioned, his checks will allow us to get some really good things here. And it looks like SeelingKatt's going to go ahead and try and maybe take the Moogle Charm off and do some grinds here while looting in the basement. This makes sense, especially because she went ahead and bought some of those bolt edges that we mentioned earlier. Lightning elemental AoE things that you could throw at your enemies. Mwah, delicious. Meanwhile, JS is finishing up here in the basement, so he will be out of here, and SeelingKatt's trip is going to take significantly longer against these enemies. And hey, these are some movers. Now, movers have extremely high evade and extremely high magical defense as well as physical defense. However, things like the chainsaw and the shurikens and Sword Tech 1 will cut through the high defense of the movers, so this actually won't be a very difficult fight at all. Oof! And of course, I say that and Gao goes down instantaneously there. But that is a nice chunk of XP early on, and it looks like JS is in World of Balance Mobliz, so I think this might be a play for the Injured Lad for him here, because that is where you have to go in order to do the Injured Lad quest objective. Sees both a drill and a noise blaster there, is going to pick up one of each for his tools user. Those are some really good tools that we would like, and oh god, run away! This is one of those fights that you don't want to see in the basement because it is very deadly. Although at this level it may not be so bad, as JS talks here to the injured lad from Miranda. He gives you his life sob story, and then you have to go ahead and mail a bunch of stuff for him. And once you do that, you can get the auto haste and auto shell objectives here. And yeah, this fight, just get out of it immediately. SeelingKatt's hoping to get the other mob formation again, those movers, but keeps getting the tap dancer and covert one. Thankfully, this one is a side attack, and she could just run away from it very, very easily there. So essentially what JS has to do is a sequence of 5 of these. Go talk to, or rather go read the letter, go to the guy to send something, open up a shopkeep menu, so that's why he went to the relic shop and just immediately got back out of it, and then head back here into the injured lad's house, interact with the letter, and that continues on the quest storyline to now sell some, or not sell some records, but go ahead and mail a record here. So on average, this takes 3 GP to send a record. Yeah, sure, send one to me too, please. On average, this takes about 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, something like that to complete. But you do get auto haste and auto shell, so that's really nice to speed up your party and also reduce incoming magic attacks by 33%. And Gao is just getting bullied over here, unable to actually gain any levels for SeelingKatt, and that is going to be rather unfortunate for him. He's still on level 3, and the rest of his party, or rest of the party rather, is on level 13 there. I don't know if we found dried meat yet, but if we do, then we could go do Gao's check on the Veld here. And this is the fight that SeelingKatt was hoping for all along with these movers. And hopefully they behave this time around. Alright, so JS is sending the second letter, so this is item number 4 of 5 to send. And the last thing that we have to send is a book. One last fight before we get out of the basement here, and it's these movers, and Gao somehow survived with just 3 HP. Yeah, we better heal him up a little bit here. And there we go. Book has been sent for JS, so now he's got to go up to the relic shop and then back to the injured lad. You will get a random item for completing this quest. It's not necessarily a high-tier item. It is just any random item, one of 254 items. So we'll see what item he gets. But more importantly, he's going to get that auto haste and auto shell, as it is a Kaiser, which is a nice roll, but not not a good weapon there. Gao finally getting some levels, is up to level 12, but SeelingKatt's party, level 16 for the higher entrance there, so that's really nice to get some levels underneath you right away. And we'll see where she decides to go first. It looks like we're going to Doma, and there are some Pearl Rods for sale, as well as Ninja Stars. So we'll see if JS decides to pick up some of those. He is going to pick up a stack of them, it looks like. He already has 99 shurikens, so doesn't need those shurikens anymore now that he's got all those ninja stars. And hey kids, it's Ultros 3 here for SeelingKatt at Doma Siege. Not going to be a character, because if it was, then we could add that character to the party potentially before this fight. And there it goes, Ultros. Celeste doing big damage there with those elemental skeins on account of that higher than normal magic power. And that is our first Esper on the board there, Seraphim. Didn't quite see what Gao's natural magic may have taught him in some of the earlier spells, but that is Mutant X-Zone on Seraphim, so that is a really nice Esper to find. Takes care of a couple of parts of Final Kefka, so our runners are always constantly thinking about the final boss in the game, as well as all of the other bosses in between. And after getting a nice heal from Doma Siege, immediately pops over to the World of Ruin. It looks like SeelingKatt wants to get her sword tech unlock. I really like this play of getting some levels, then going to do Doma Siege. And since you get a heal a story heal after that fight. You don't have to even waste any sleeping bags or tents before going right here into Cyan's Dream. Meanwhile, JS on the Veldt does find a ghost, so this will be his first Esper for this particular fight, this particular seed, rather, and we'll see what he gets. Bahamut! That is a really nice Esper to find. As I mentioned earlier, the multi-summon flag is on, so you could literally just cast Bahamut over and over and over and over again. Really nice spell. It is defense ignoring, it's AoE, it's non-elemental. It's really, really good. Helps you get out of a lot of situations here, as JS is going to reform his party and probably head through the Serpent Trench. Meanwhile, uh-oh! What is our level? I think Gao is going to die here at level 15. Cannot keep Gao alive, unfortunately. It is Doomgaze, so Doomgaze early on in the seed, not as big of a deal. Later on can cast some pretty nasty spells, and it's just an all-around pain in the neck to have here. High physical defense, high magical defense, but with things like Sword Tech 1 and Chainsaw and Shurikens that ignore defense, this is actually not a bad fight here, as Doomgaze usually has a bunch of HP, which is strange because he looks like a skeleton, so you would think he wouldn't have a pool of HP, but unlike in the vanilla game, where you fight him multiple times, you only have to fight him just this one time. So all of his HPs are kind of stacked into one fight there. And down goes Doomgaze for SeelingKatt. We'll see what the reward is here. It's going to be an Esper and item, and it is a Mega Elixir. So at least has that for Final Kefka, but was hoping maybe for some progression there. We are definitely going to get some progression at Cyan's Dream number 2, and that is a Merchant Sprite, so that means we are getting an Esper here at Cyan's Dream number 2. But more importantly, I think SeelingKatt wants to go through this check in order to get all of the Sword Tech unlocks there for Gao. Get Gao online as soon as possible. JS, meanwhile, in the Serpent Trench, 4 forced encounters. On average, you can do as little as 3 or as many as 5, but most runners tend to do 4 because it is the fastest way through the Serpent Trench here. 2 on the front end, then a little treasure room, and then 2 on the back end, and skip the second treasure room. We'll see if JS decides to go for that route here. Ooh, nice. Pearl Rod in the chest. That'll be good to hold on to. And when he eventually comes up against Doomgaze, if he decides to go through Cyan's Dream, can yeet that Pearl Rod at Doomgaze for a defense-ignoring maximum damage Pearl spell, which just so happens to be Doomgaze's weakness. Meanwhile, JS throwing out the Noise Blaster strats here on these 2 mechanical enemies. Really nice, good heads-up vanilla game knowledge there from JS, using that Noise Blaster so that he doesn't get attacked. Alright, let's see what the second boss here at Cyan's Dream is, as SeelingKatt decides to equip the party. And JS, meanwhile, is going to wash up on the shores of the Serpent Trench, so we'll see what this check is here for him. Oh, kind of a nasty fight early on, the tentacles, and just a Thunder Shield after the Serpent Trench, so not progression for JS either. Both of our runners coming up empty, and nice instant death chainsaw proc there from SeelingKatt on that bottom left tentacle. Love to see it. So what's interesting is, even though we don't get the better Magitech abilities like Tech Missile, we still get Fire, Bolt, and Ice Beam, which is basically like a single target level 2 elemental. And since we are not going to be earning fire or ice magic naturally in the seed, that'll be nice for Realm to have just for some of the boss weaknesses. And that's SeelingKatt getting past the grabby pasta there in Cyan's Dream. So she will get her Esper here, check the throne for another Esper potentially, and more importantly here, unlocking 8 sword techs for Gao to be using. And oh boy, the jackpot on JS's screen. There are Illuminas for sale for 5,100 in the Vector weapon shop there. Not a shop that's often checked either. So that's huge for JS to find there. Especially, it looked like there was at least 2 people that could use that Illumina. Celeste naturally, and maybe one of the other ones. Meanwhile, Fenrir was the Esper on the throne there for SeelingKatt. So already got Calmness Protection. And as I mentioned before, has that Esper with Mutant X-Zone on it. So she is basically ready for all of the final Kefka goodie bag that we need to have in order to have a successful trip against it. It looks like JS is just going to smoke out of here. The singular pug is way more rude than the 3 pugs. And for this check here, going into the shed and getting the heal, you don't actually have to win that fight. You just have to survive that fight. And then you get the free heal there. Heading into the Magitech factory. 43,000 for that Tizen Thief, and it's not an Esper, because otherwise that thief would have said for this shiny stone. For this glowing rock, something like that. I don't remember what the exact text is. Ooh, nice little pickup there on the side. It's a sniper in a box over there. One of the better weapons in the game, and they're for sale as well as SeelingKatt finds them. Only Gao, unfortunately, can use it, but there's an ice rod that might be a good pickup if SeelingKatt can sell enough stuff to get it. And yeah, it looks like we're going to pick up at least one of those ice rods here into Zen. Question from the chat, what makes a sniper so good? So, the sniper is an item with some pretty high battle power. I will look up exactly what the battle power is. It is 172, which is not crazy because battle power goes all the way up to 255, but the real good thing about the sniper is that you can use it from the back row and it does the same amount of damage, so you could play a little defensively, and it looks like SeelingKatt is also going to find the Illuminas in a shop here too. Looks like Gao and Celeste can use them. Celeste is going to be using Throw, so she probably won't be using the Illumina here. And it looks like SeelingKatt's not going to have enough things to sell anyway. Alright, so back to the sniper. So you could use it from the back row for the same damage, and it has a chance, a 50% chance, to do 1.5 damage to a target, or 3 damage if that 3 times the damage if that target is floating. And that chance of that special ability, it comes on every single turn that a sniper can use. So if you did Genji Glove Sniper, you could potentially do a 3 times hit and a 3 times hit. Or if you have an offering, you could do 3 times hit and then 3 times hit and then regular hit and then 3 times hit. So that's why the sniper is really, really good. So yeah, it's a 50-50 chance of whether the sniper gets quote-unquote thrown at the enemy. And what that essentially equates to is 1.5 times damage on normal enemies, and then 3 times the damage if that enemy is flying. Another dead check there for JS with that behemoth suit, so a little unfortunate as he continues his dead checks. Yeah, so there's also a less strong version of it called the Hawkeye. It has the same properties, but the battle power is so... I think it's like half of what the sniper is, so it's most of the time not worth it. And here JS is going to use the Pearl Rod on the Ghost Train in order to get rid of it basically instantly. Meanwhile, when SeelingKatt gets to this, because this is the second part of the Magitech factory, she is going to be able to use Sword Tech 8 with Cleave to get rid of the Ghost Train right away. Yeah, by the way, if you have any questions or if you are interested to know more things, just drop it in the chat, or if you're watching this on YouTube, hi from the past, but drop it in the comments section and we'll be sure to answer it as well. 111 battle power for the Hawkeye. Okay, it's actually more than I thought. I thought it was like in the double digits. But either way, the sniper is way more useful. It's especially useful if you find an offering or a Genji glove. It's okay as just a single target fight, but it really shines with the offering. And here comes the cleave for SeelingKatt to get rid of the ghost train. Meanwhile, that was Raiden as the reward for the second part here, with HP plus 100%, and I think Doom was on there as well. Not a bad Esper. As now, unfortunately, SeelingKatt, up to 6 checks, has that auto overcast and auto condemned counter on. So one of the things that Goddess flag sets really teach you how to do well if you're a newer player is this technique called weight tricking, where you can get into a battle menu and it will not fill up the enemy or friendly ATBs, nor will it let your condemned timer go down. So if you're looking to, practice, and stop is also on that Esper too, which is really nice for Poltergeist, because we know we were going to have to fight Poltergeist at some point in this race. So weight tricking is a really good technique to use to make sure that you are ready for whatever the enemies throw at you, even if you're not condemned. It's just a really good practice to get into. And these flag sets, the Goddess one in particular, sort of forces you to learn how to do that because of the condemned counter on your heads. Alright, so we're at the third part of the Magitech factory here, and both of our runners are deciding to continue onwards. There are 3 forced encounters here on the minecart ride, then a boss. Then after that first boss, we get a chance to save, and then we get to fight a second boss. And this will be guaranteed progression, so this is either a character or an Esper at the end of the Magitech factory here. Alright, so the first boss is the boss in the vanilla game. Number 128 at the end of the minecart ride here. Yeah, like I mentioned, if you're newer to the randomizer and if you have questions, you could always just ask. And I'm glad everybody's enjoying the races. That's sort of how I got into this randomizer. I watched a bunch of races first to kind of get some information as to what it was all about, and then I hopped in and started playing for myself. Alright, JS kills number 128 as SeelingKatt gets to number 128. Number 128 is weak to lightning and water, as most mechanical things are, so I assume we'll see some of those bolt edges and bolt beams and things like that. Meanwhile, JS is going to fight the second boss here. You do get a story heal. You don't have to heal at the save point if you don't want to. And that is the third Esper for him at the end of the Magitech factory. So it's not a character here. But we still have lots of places to check. Both of Gao's checks we did. Most of Cyan's checks we did. Most of Celeste's checks we did, other than Opera House Disruption and Mount Zozo for Cyan, respectively. And then we haven't done any of Realm or Strago's checks. So we still got a lot of things open to us in this seed here. So it'll be interesting to see where our runners go. And it looks like JS wants that sword tech unlock. So he's going to head into Cyan's Dream, it looks like, as well. Or not. I was mistaken. Looks like Mount Zozo is the order of the day here instead. Now, since JS already has Auto Shell and Auto Haste on, he does not have to kill this dragon here. Meanwhile, SeelingKatt showing off some tech. Good vanilla game knowledge there. Knows that leader is susceptible to instant death, so throwing out the Doom spell, and that is a wrap on that pushover boss there. Alright, looks like SeelingKatt is heading or hovering above the Gao stuff here. So is going to bring her party down to 3 members in order to get both the Velt and the Serpent Trench. So the Velt was an Esper and the Serpent Trench was a dead check. New information is going to be coming out of JS's side, and that is an Atma weapon in the chest as well. Rage Ring is also pretty nice to have. It boosts up your strength by +5, and it gives you the ability to absorb fire magic and nullify lightning magic. So that's a pretty decent relic if one of your people can wear it. That's Ultima on that show, along with Life 3. Unfortunately, SeelingKatt doing the Velt check after fighting some fights means that she runs into not the easy Lobo. However, luckily gets it on the first try, and that is Bahamut for SeelingKatt. Esper number 6 for her. And we'll see if she decides to head in through the Serpent Trench. You're already over here with your airship. There's no better time to do it than now. It looks like JS is going to take this dragon anyway, so dragons will grant you their 60 in this flag set, because it's times 6 instead of times 5. 60 MP, so you basically can learn most spells. Lots of XP, and will drop their normal drop. In the case of the blue dragon, it's a scimitar, and will give you one of those high tier items we talked about, which is a high-tier piece of equipment, a Thunder Shield, or a Mega Elixir. So we'll see what the Blue Dragon gives for JS here. SeelingKatt diving into the Serpent Trench. Unfortunately, will be disappointed at the end here. Alright, so that's a red jacket for JS, getting that auto overcast and auto condemned counter. So the thing with auto condemned and auto haste is that haste actually speeds up the condemned timer, which is a bit odd, because it's kind of a nerf to auto haste in a way. And that is Setzer. So we've got character number 6 for JS. Yeah, so in case you were wondering, and I looked this up in the last race because I wasn't sure and I didn't actually know. So for condemned status, the character basically has a countdown over their head, and the timer is equal to 79 minus a random number from the level of the monster that cast it to twice the level minus 1. Which is kind of crazy. If this value is less than 20, then the countdown is set to 20 instead. So that's why most of the time when the bosses get to really high levels, that condemned counter becomes 20. So it looks here like the highest the condemned timer can ever be, because our enemies start at level 3. Is basically 79 minus 3, or 76. Thank you. Alright, so let's see where JS decides to go. I think they're going to see if Setzer can use the Illumina. Nope, they're just going to sell a bunch of stuff in order to get those Illuminas. Might have enough if he sells, like, some of the crazy stuff, yeah. That Ether, that X-Ether, yeah. Oh, okay, he's got enough stuff here. It's only 51,000 for that Illumina, too. Selling the Wall Ring, interesting, because the Wall Ring will cast Reflect, which might be useful in Kefka's Tower. Because remember, we know that we're fighting the 3 statue bosses. Meanwhile, JS putting in Setzer here. Setzer can use both the Atma weapon and the sniper. I wonder who he took out. Maybe Strago? SeelingKatt finding some warp stones here in Nikea. So now, after finding those warp stones, might start thinking about Mount Zozo, because you don't want to walk out of Mount Zozo. It's a long way out. JS here going to do Doma Siege, is going to grab an Esper from this spot, I believe. This is an Esper. Meanwhile, SeelingKatt doing the exact same thing that JS just did and going to pick up an Illumina here. I probably would... it's so difficult because the Illumina is a very good, even defensive item and stat stick, but is it worth 51,000? Gonna use the smoke bomb here on the single pug. Pretty smart play. Yeah, I guess you would swap Strago out for somebody that could use that Illumina later on. So you might as well buy it, especially since you got the cash for it. Alright, JS is our first runner with Setzer, found at Mount Zozo. But SeelingKatt has more Espers at the moment. It looks like JS is going to head through the Dream here in order to upgrade Sword Tech for Gao. So he'll come out of this with 2 Espers and all of the Sword Techs. Meanwhile, SeelingKatt looks like they're heading over towards the southeast corner of the map, which means it's time for some Strago checks heading into Ebbets Rock here. Gotta collect 22 and no less pieces of coral before talking to the treasure chest at the end to fight the boss. And for those of you that are running Poltergeist Fury flag sets that have YNPC set to remove, if you accidentally remove the boss sprite, you know, the Haydn sprite, you not only have to reload the room, but since you gave all of your coral to the coral chests, you gotta go collect 22 more pieces of coral. So don't do that. Alright, so now that we're at over 22, you get teleported either to the coral chest, or the save room, or the entry room. Nice little change that was made, I think, in version 1.3 of the randomizer, which is not yet in multi-world, which is how I know that it's... how I know what release it is. Alright, Doomgaze doesn't body anybody for JS, so we'll see how he handles this. So Setzer's using that Atma weapon at the moment. The Atma weapon does its best damage at levels 32 and above. Just because of the way the damage formula is calculated, there's a divide by 32 in with the level check. And that's Vargas and the Pooh Bear is dead for SeelingKatt here. In Ebbett's Rock, we'll see what the reward is. If we run out, it's a character. And we're not, but that is progression nonetheless. And it's magic power +1, which is nice to have on one of your casters there. Bet JS is regretting using that Pearl Rod on the Ghost Train now, huh? Alright, SeelingKatt, heading into J'adore. So this is another new check for us. This is Owser's Mansion, one of Realm's checks. And we'll see if she decides to take a peek at the auction house as well. Potential espers are at the auction house. Ruh-roh. JS, meanwhile, his realm is dead, or not actually dead, but is zombied, and Gao is on 1 second of his condemned timer. Gao clutches it out there with 1 second to go against Doomgaze. So in the case that you're fighting Doomgaze, you're going to probably want to use Sword Tech 1 more than Sword Tech 4, just because of how high Doomgaze's physical defense is. JS was able to pull it out there with Sword Tech 4, but Sword Tech 1, even though it's 1 hit versus 4, will actually do more damage to high defensive targets. Oh, hi there, Minerva behind the door. How's it going? Alright, let's see who could use that Minerva. I mean, we know Celeste can. Alright, so 2 forced encounters at a minimum here in Owser's Mansion. You could do the Grabby painting, plus the Nightshade painting, plus those 4 chests for a total of 7 fights. Nope, that's not the right math. 8 fights? Yes. That is the right math. I swear I know what I'm talking about. Alright, so let's see what's here. Imp Sprite. So this is not a character at Owser's Mansion either. And in spite of the fact that JS looks like he's down in terms of overall numbers, he's actually the only runner that has a 6 character in Setzer so far. So the numbers may be deceiving, folks. Alright, so knowing that Chupon is weak to ice, SeelingKatt's going to go ahead and use one of those ice rods here. Very smart heads-up play. And Chupon has been eating his hot sauce for breakfast, it seems. Wow. Magus Rod in a pot there for JS. That's +7 magic power to whoever has it. And make sure you don't go into the room to the right there. You'll get to see that cutscene that Cyan and his family present to you. That is Stray from SeelingKatt, appropriately enough. And let's see what's in the auction house. Glowing stones are available, But remember, she did just shell out 50 grand for an Illumina. Good to pick up some more fire skeins. Don't really need the Phoenix Downs anymore, because remember, you don't die when you die, you turn into a zombie. She's already got plenty of Revivifies, though, so it's not going to be a problem. Alright, it looks like we are finally getting our Mount Zozo play here for SeelingKatt. And I think for her, it was down to Burning House or Fanatic's Tower for this here. And Opera House Disruption. We haven't seen that yet either. Did she do Esper Mountain? She did not do Esper Mountain. But I know that some runners, myself included, will put off Esper Mountain, even though it's a very fast check, because it is one that you can peak. Alright, so JS getting past the second part of Cyan's Dream. We'll pick up 2 Espers here. And more importantly, those sword techs for Gao. So he'll be at 6 and 6 now. Will SeelingKatt stop to do this dragon? Find out next. It looks like it. Alright, it looks like Cyan can use the Atma weapon, but we benched him so long ago that that's not going to be in play. Realm can use the Atma weapon as well. Put that HP plus 100 Esper on. Makes sense there. Atma weapon users will do their maximum damage when they're at full health. And every HP they shave off of that, you'll do less and less damage. Good heads-up play here, knowing lightning is the weakness of this dragon. Decides to throw out a Bolt 3 spell instead of using the Atma weapon. And it is Toilet Atma for JS after doing the Search the Skies from Setzer. Yeah, unfortunately, Toilet Atma steals are a lot worse than the other Atma weapon. So, only getting a Drainer, which I guess you could sell for 4,000 or so, but not really what you want. And there it is, Setzer for SeelingKatt. And now the question is, where is our 7th character? We haven't seen Daryl's Tomb or the Colon Jin Inn, I don't think either. So those are two potential places to go along with our others that we mentioned earlier. Opera House Disruption, Burning House, Fanatic's Tower. Natural Magic and Control on Setzer. Meanwhile, Atma is down for JS. We'll see what JS gets from this fight here. Besides learning a lot of spells. That is not an Esper. What's at the Colon Jin Inn? It is Edgar. So there's character number 7, and now SeelingKatt can decide to put Edgar in the party to use that Illumina, but it looks like Strago is going to hang on here for at least a little while longer. Alright, so now that we've got Edgar, it looks like SeelingKatt is immediately going to head to the World of Ruin South Figaro Cave, and excuse me, Neither one of our runners did Esper Mountain, and it is Umaro. I thought I swore that one of our runners had done this check. It's another Ultros, and there is the other Figabro Sabin. And SeelingKatt says, nah, I'm good. I got 7 characters already. The Kefka Tower skip, however, if you look down towards the bottom of the overlay here, it is 9 characters for skip. So maybe SeelingKatt is filing that information away for later. And this is a bit unfortunate for her, as she does not have Umaro from the Esper Mountain check, as JS is showing us off right here. That's what our reward is. So he's doing this only presumably for the Dragon and Tritalk, which can reward either an Esper or an item. Because as far as she's concerned, she only needs Espers now. Meanwhile, JS looks like they're making an immediate beeline towards World of Ruin Narsh, and both of our runners will be at the top of this check simultaneously after 46.5 minutes into the seed. It's the Gold Durgan here for SeelingKatt. Weak to water. So some of those water edges Celeste could throw at this boss to do some pretty good damage there. And unfortunately, Strago's having a bit of a difficult time here. Is able to get the Revivify off, but is Strago going to go back down again? No. Thankfully, Gold Durgan hits the wrong target, chooses the one with the Minerva on, and that did not go well for him. Does, however, know, SeelingKatt, that Bio is one of the weaknesses of the dragons here. So very nice heads-up play to use the Bio spell. Not necessarily weak to poison, but obviously that damage over time will definitely help her out. Alright, so, SeelingKatt heading up to Tritalk here. Getting piranhas instead. JS using Empowerer, Sword Tech 5. That lets you heal your character's HP and restores MP as well. So, really nice to have Sword Tech 5 when you have somebody that is, let's say, using Ultima at 254 MP, because you could just get that MP back with one turn and not having to worry about restoring your MP through other means like consumables. It looks like JS has a very slight level lead here, just looking at the levels between our two runners. I think he's at 35, and after this fight, SeelingKatt may also be at 35, but is not there yet. Alright, we'll see what the reward is from Tritalk here. Not not what SeelingKatt was hoping for. SeelingKatt at 17 checks, JS at 15 checks, but JS is going to be able to jump down into Umaro's cave, so may still get some value out of this, whereas SeelingKatt unfortunately had to warp out and will not be getting an Esper from this check at Search the Sky either. Alright. So here comes Rhysopus. So Rhysopus appears at a random time interval between 5 and 55 seconds. So unlike in the vanilla speedrun where there's like an audio cue for when Rhysopus is supposed to appear, that does not happen in the randomizer. And 8 HP in a dream for Realm here. Gotta be very careful, SeelingKatt does. Another dead check, as we mentioned, for both of our runners here. Realm Gloria gainers and will survive. Meanwhile, JS throwing that Atma weapon onto Setzer, who could rock that snow muffler. The best physical defensive piece of armor in the entire game for sure. Alright, let's see where SeelingKatt decides to go next. It looks like she's going to go over to the throne. One of Edgar's checks. We have not seen this yet. And it looks like there's another character at Yeti spot. You might as well get it, JS. You're not going to be back here ever. And that is, unfortunately, a red cap at the Figaro throne. Yick. So a series of dead checks here for SeelingKatt. You hate to see it happen. She is, however, at 19 checks, so that skip is sort of getting closer and closer to being a possibility here. So it looks like there were two paths through this seed. If you did Umaro into whatever this character was, and I didn't actually see who was stomping down the stairs. I was looking at something else. So chat, if you could fill me in before the end of this fight and pique my curiosity. So yeah, you could do Umaro to Gogo at Yeti Cave. Thank you so much, AJS. Or you could do Setzer to, or rather, Setzer and Edgar, or Edgar to Sabin. And SeelingKatt's going to be super annoyed here that this is Yeti, and she was just up there. Meanwhile, that is Gogo for JS, and Gogo normally I would be like, no thank you, but with Throw on the table and with Sword Tech 8 on the table, Gogo has a lot of utility in this seed. So would be a very good fifth character to have around for Kefka stuff. Although we do have Fenrir and everything you'd really need. That is Edgar for JS, so that will be his Kefka Tower skip unlock, but he is still 4 shiny stones behind where he needs to be to unlock final Kefka himself. So we'll see where JS decides to go. Contemplation is the name of the game here. And it looks like, nope, he's not going to take a peek at Fanatic's Tower. He's heading all the way down to the Strago stuff. So he probably could have gotten there a lot faster if he went the other way, because the world does wrap around. And I believe this was... I think this was an Esper, at least. I know it's not a character. I know SeelingKatt did it earlier. Wake me up before you go. The theme song of JS at the moment. Looks like SeelingKatt is going to save. And you can check what the inscription of the tomb is to see what the reward of this is before you actually do it. But there is no way to not initiate the fight once you read the tombstone. So it's good to save and then read it and then reset out if it's something you don't want. So in this case, SeelingKatt is looking for an Esper, and we haven't seen what this is here. And it is Tritalk, so this is Esper number 9 for SeelingKatt. MC Hammerpants is guarding it, though. Alright. So, a couple of Espers for our runners here at these checks, thankfully, after coming up dry for a while. Yeah, SeelingKatt will be at 20 checks when this is over, and JS will be at 19 checks when this is over. However, JS already has his Kefka Tower skip due to the 9 character clause. SeelingKatt at 20. And we do know that there are glowing stones available at the auction house, so we'll see if SeelingKatt decides to go that way or not. Finding stop on an Esper in a seed where you know you have to fight Poltergeist is always nice. Always welcome, and it looks like, yeah, heading right back to that auction house. So this will put SeelingKatt at 21 checks after the auction house. And that is assuming that the Esper is the $20,000 item and not the $10,000 item. Or rather, the $20,000 reward and not the $10,000 reward. Dude, get out the way. Alright, it's got 20 grand on her. So normally what you want to do is you want to get to at least 80,000 so that you could buy the $50,000 item to remove it out of the item pool, because there's a 50% chance that the $50,000 item comes up for sale, then a 25% chance that the $20,000 reward comes up for sale, then a 12.5% chance that the $10,000 reward comes up for sale, then it's a 725, whatever. A little bit more than 6% chance of the $10,000 item or the Imp Robot. But SeelingKatt buying this $50,000 item will remove it from the item pool, so now that $20,000 reward, which is a potential Esper, jumps up to 50%. The $10,000 reward jumps up to 25%. So you're just increasing the chances that you're going to get that Esper that you want. Meanwhile, JS sees that it's Sabin here at Edgar's check and decides to continue on. $50,000 green cherry, yick. Alright, that's what I thought. He is going to reset here. So, for SeelingKatt, now that the $50,000 green cherry is out of the item pool, oh no, it's an Imp Robot. So that is a cutscene that you can't skip. By buying the $50,000 item, you increase the chances of an Imp Robot from 6 and change to 12.5%. So that was just a little unlucky there. So at this moment, there's a 75% chance that you'll get the $20,000 reward or the $10,000 reward, and either one of those can be Espers. So we'll see what happens on time number 3 here. There it is. We got ourselves an Esper. And this is the $20,000 reward, so as percentages go, this would happen 50% of the time after the $50,000 items out of the pool. As we crest over the hour mark, SeelingKatt will be in go mode in just a second here. grabbing that 10th piece of Magicite. So it is faster to reset and go through the menus than it is to watch the Imp Robot cutscene. So that's why after SeelingKatt got the $50,000 item, she went out of Jador to go save and come back. Alright, so SeelingKatt's levels are in the 40s, just barely over 40, and it looks like she's going to go ahead and take on at least one more dragon here. Get some more levels, and more importantly, this will grab her the auto shell status for her party. JS, meanwhile, is looking for espers, and he's going to be happy what he finds here. Yeah, so as Possumorpheus points out in the chat, SeelingKatt is now at 21 checks. She'll be at 22 when this is done. So if she wants, what she can do is she can overload the middle party to go into Kefka Tower at the entrance, then take on the dragon that party number 2 has to fight in order to get 23 checks and then get skip. Little debilitator action here. Because remember, this is a goddess flag set, and we do not have access to ice spells other than Ice Beam and some of those ice rods we saw earlier. Yeah, so this will set up SeelingKatt nicely to get skip and not have to do the tower walk twice. There it is. Weak against Thunder. That's what we wanted to see in order to use Bolt 3. However, I don't think the red dragon's going to be around much longer anyway. Oh boy. Uh-oh. Celeste Realm looking a little sick here. A little sideways sick. Gal finishing off the dragon. Unfortunately, that means Celeste and Realm they're not going to be able to take advantage of the XP from this fight. But that is the third dragon for SeelingKatt. More importantly, her 22nd check. So she's one check away from Kefka Tower skip. Meanwhile, JS is going to check the throne and be disappointed. With the Mario hat. JS needs 2 more espers in order to unlock Kefka's Tower, or unlock Final Kefka, rather. One of the espers that SeelingKatt has that JS does not have is in the auction house. Where is the other one? Oh, the other one is in Owser's Mansion. So those are the 2 checks that SeelingKatt has done here. Yeah, I don't know why SeelingKatt is not overloading her her party into the second slot here. Maybe that was not her plan. So would Esper Mountain be the fastest check for the skip? It probably would. It would definitely be faster than forming your party into Kefka's Tower and then fighting the dragon. But the dragon will get her team auto haste. So at 3 dragons you get auto shell, and at 4 dragons you get auto haste in this particular seed. So it makes more sense to take on the dragon in the middle spot instead of going to Esper Mountain. Even though it's faster. Because the auto haste will make your team faster for all of the subsequent fights. And also dragons will give you a lot more XP. most likely, than whatever is at Esper Mountain. Because at this point, I think the only bosses that might give more XP are the other Kefka Tower bosses, right? So like Inferno Guardian, or Magimaster. Those would be the three off the top of my head that would probably give more XP than a dragon. Maybe Funbaba. We've already defeated Doomgaze, so we've already seen him. And JS sees that it's not a character at the bottom of Fnatic's Tower and begrudgingly is heading up here. This is a rather lengthy check. It's about 5 to 6 minutes in total, but it's guaranteed progression. Yeah, this is interesting. I think SeelingKatt doesn't realize how close she is to Skip. Because then she wouldn't be doing this. Or at least, I don't think you would be doing this. So, I haven't gotten a chance to code it up yet, but I have a quote-unquote fix for Fnatic's Tower, where the only 3 screens would be the bottom of the tower. Then if you go up the stairs, you would get to the part of the tower where the dragon is. And then if you go up the stairs again, you get to this top part. I think that would make Fnatic's Tower way more, like, enticing. Especially because it's a guaranteed piece of progression. I mean, it's already pretty good as it is, because you can take a dragon there. It is guaranteed progression. And it actually counts as 3 different checks. You can go and get this item at the top without having Strago, but you cannot get the item at the bottom without Strago. So I don't know. What I think I'll do is I'll code it up. I'll see if it gets blessed. I'll see if the community likes it or hate it. And then who knows, maybe we can get it into the game at some point. That's one of the great things about Worlds Collide, is that we're currently in pseudo-active development. It is sort of open source. I haven't contributed much to the main game, but you could still contribute if you have a little bit of knowledge of how the game is coded. Alright, so Yeti, it is on the screen for JS. And unfortunately, we do not have Fire Magic in this seed. However, Bio is very effective against Umaro. So JS pulling out that a couple of times here. Unfortunately, SeelingKatt getting the business shown by number 24 there. So this is the part of the seed where things start to get interesting in Kefka's Tower, because you have that condemned timer over you, and if you have another one of your characters, or your meat shield character rather, dies right away and becomes a zombie, you can't wait trick to finagle the timer. Drinks Glue coming in with the Snapple fact of the day here. JS's name is actually his date of birth. Yeah, I think for SeelingKatt, I think if she knew how close she was to Skip, she would be overloading Party 2. So what I would do, chat, in this situation is, you're 1 check away from Skip. You could go right to the dragon in Party number 2, and dragons count as checks. So head right immediately straight for that dragon, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Kill that dragon, and then you'll get Kefka Tower Skip. So once you do, you could then warp out of the tower, save, and then come back in at the statues. Meanwhile, JS is taking the long trek down here for Esper number 9. He won't even be at go mode after Fnatic's Tower. The seed was very stingy on the Espers. A lot of dead checks. Because as I mentioned, SeelingKatt's at 22. This will be 24 for JS here with this Esper. So a lot of dead checks. Alright, and it looks like JS is making a beeline right for this auction house, so both of our runners taking advantage of the auction house in this seed. Suck on that, auction house haters. Alright, so now that SeelingKatt has a proper team to go in against number 24, she'll be in much better position here. Alright, JS selling a couple of things to get over to $80,000, because as I mentioned earlier, it is the best way in order to finance your shiny stone operation here. And I just realized I forgot to indicate whose sound we were listening to the whole game. My bad. I figured, though, chat, you guys are smart enough to figure that out, right? Yeah, so auction house logic, I sort of explained it a little bit earlier, but for those of you that are joining us late, welcome. The auction house in the World of Ruin has 5 different item slots. There's the $50,000 item, the $20,000 reward, the $10,000 reward, the $10,000 item, and the imp robot. So the thing that shows up the most often, 50% in fact, is the $50,000 item. Then 25% of the time, it's the $20,000 reward, which in this case is an Esper. Then 12.5% of the time, it is the $10,000 reward, which is either an Esper or an high tier item. Then splitting the rest of 6.75-ish percent, 6.25%, that is your imp robot and your $10,000 item. So every time you buy something in the World of Ruin auction house, it comes out of the pool of items that you could potentially get. So much like Sex Panther, 50% of the time it works every time. That when you buy the $50,000 item and you remove it out of the pool, the $20,000 reward, which is usually an Esper, jumps up to showing up 50% of the time. That $10,000 reward, which may potentially be another Esper or a high tier item, jumps up to 25% of the time it shows up. So after you buy the $50,000 item, you have a 75% chance of one of those 2 reward slots showing up. The unfortunate part is that you also bump up the chances of the imp robot showing up to 12.5%. So that's why runners usually save after they buy the $50,000 item. JS did not, SeelingKatt did. Alright, so SeelingKatt here pushing the switches for Kefka's Tower. Now JS got go mode, and here is the power of Kefka's Tower. Skip, folks. JS is going to be entering in the tower right exactly where SeelingKatt is at this very second on the statue switches. So, ladies and gentlemen and Moogles of all ages in the chat, we've got ourselves a race here. As SeelingKatt is going to fight the Guardian, and then we get the 3 statues. And here is Funbaba, which is one of the bosses I mentioned before as being a real tank, especially at these high levels. So I mentioned earlier, folks, that our maximum scaling is level 50. Well, since we've done more than 20 checks, we are at the maximum amount of scaling. JS here hopping into the tower, and just like all sane people, is leaving the Yeti on the airship, so props to him for that. And we'll see where he decides to go first. I personally would take this middle spot first, because you know the other 3 bosses are going to be difficult fights. They're going to be our Kefka Tower bosses. Oh boy, and we've got a level 43 Celeste with a level 3 Cyan in the middle. This is gutsy here, folks. Oh boy, Meteor. I've never seen Funbaba do this. That's what happens when you scale bosses up so high. Meanwhile, Edgar is just dancing like nobody's watching. Unfortunately, we are watching you, Edgar, fail completely miserably at every step of the way. Personally, I probably would not have bothered with the dance command here on Edgar. Edgar is so under-leveled to use dance, and with the fact that you have condemned over your characters, you'd rather use that meat shield to spend time in the menu like SeelingKatt is here, as to not tick that condemn counter down. That should do it, though. Slam-a-lama, ding-dong. Funbaba down with that proc on that Illumina here. Meanwhile, that's Cyan dead, and JS is going to have a heck of a time beating Funbaba in 30 seconds or less. Because he is a beefy boy. However, that proc is certainly going to help him out here. But, oh, there it is! I underestimated how Celeste can swing. Alright, first statue boss up the middle. It is Goddess. Oh, that's not what we want. We do not want procs with Goddess with an Illumina. Healing the boss for almost as much damage, or maybe more damage than we inflicted on it. However, Strago has Ultima, and Ultima will work against Goddess's very high magic defense. Also, throwing things will work. JS with the Ninja Stars has slightly higher damage than SeelingKatt's Shurikens. However, we also have Strago doing Ultima on the other side as well. Alright, we got one more Ultima left in Strago here for SeelingKatt before he's got to do something else. And thankfully, we do have a chainsaw. But that's it. Goddess down for SeelingKatt. Goddess the lowest HP of the three statue bosses. And that's our first statue down of the race here. Meanwhile, actual overcast for JS, but I think he's going to pull through with just maybe one or two more of those Ninja Stars. Alright, and here comes Gao up the left side here for SeelingKatt. We'll see which of the statues this one is at the Doom spot. And it is the Spicy Chicken here. So it's a full statue shuffle, folks. Get your dancing shoes out for this one. So thankfully SeelingKatt has learned Stop, which is Poltergeist's big weakness. However, SeelingKatt also has a level 3 Cyan. So we'll see what happens here. Deciding to use Stunner there. So in this case, I would probably opt for Sword Tech 7. It'll do more damage, and we know that Spicy Chicken is already stopped, so we don't need to use Stunner to try and stop him again. Meanwhile, JS is going to go up against Doom at the Goddess spot here. And there you see Gao is doing 3 times the, or 4 times the damage there. Now we could use Sword Tech 6 again to stop Spicy Chicken. Meanwhile, it's Doom for JS here. And he's got Setzer with that Atma weapon with a lot of HP. The problem is that Atma weapon is not going to be very useful in the second phase of this Doom fight here. Oh, and it's not going to be very useful now when he's frozen. Alright, so SeelingKatt having to battle the condemned counter over her head. I don't think that she has enough firepower to blast through this here. And that's just simply because it takes so much time for these spell animations to cast. Plus, Cyan just keeps hitting himself, and that's just not fun. Meanwhile, for JS, he's got 1 character zombied and 2 characters frozen. Now he's got all 3 characters frozen. So I think this is going to be a reset for him as well. Meanwhile, SeelingKatt queuing up Sword Tech 5. Unfortunately, that is not going to help out with the condemned counter, and that is going to be a reset for her. This should also be a reset for JS. I'm not quite sure why he's still hanging around here. So here it is, folks. This is what the race comes down to. Which one of our runners can get past these hurdles first? And this is the great thing about the Warring Triads flag set, is that even throughout all of the trials and tribulations of trying to figure out your way in the seed, it all comes down to the statues. JS given a Revivify to Edgar so that he can be alive while Setzer dies, and hopefully Edgar does not get frozen here. Because after you bring a character back from the dead, they are not going to be with the condemned counter. Unfortunately, too much N cross, too strong for JS's party. F's in the chat for him. Alright, let's see what SeelingKatt does against Doom. Uses Ice Beam, which is a bold strategy there, Cotton. We'll see if it pays out for her. Ice, of course, is the elemental absorption of Doom here. Is getting much better end cross luck. But at 1,300 a pop against Doom, this fight is going to take a very long time to try and break through here. So one thing to note is that JS has used his Kefka Tower skip already. SeelingKatt has 22 checks out of 23 and has not used her skip yet. Also hasn't unlocked her skip yet. So, as Pasomorpheus points out in the chat, one thing that can be done is, if we get through this Doom fight, we could go outside of the tower, go get our 23rd check for skip, and then fight our full party against Poltergeist. We could also actually do that and do 2 against Poltergeist and 2 against Doom by warping out of the tower and coming back. So the trick with Goddess flags is you have to have some sort of offense, and that becomes a bit problematic because the dead check rewards for Goddess flag sets are only defensive items, as SeelingKatt unfortunately hitting the reset button there again. And now JS is on to phase 2 for Doom, and as he just found out, the part of Doom that we don't like is the second phase with that image status. Alright, so SeelingKatt gonna warp out here. Let's see what she decides to do. And here comes the force field for JS. Just whiffing continuously on Doom. The Illumina gets through, but that is because the Illuminas have 100% hit rate. Alright, it looks like SeelingKatt gonna fork over some cash here for Zen Thief in order to get that skip. So we'll be able to get right back in the tower here. But now that she knows exactly which statue is on which side, she can prepare her party for the exact fights that she wants, getting that Kefka Tower skip. So good heads up thinking there. Sometimes you have to know when to say, okay, I can't possibly win this. I need to back out and rethink my strategy here a bit. So SeelingKatt doing that, knowing that Poltergeist is on the left, that Doom is on the right, is going to send the correct parties to each of those sides. And unlike in the case of JS, who just has one character against each of those statues, you see here SeelingKatt is able to put 2 characters, or 2 of her strong characters, into battle here. One strategy I do like as well is to go into Kefka's Tower early and just clear out the whole middle of it. Clear out Guardian, clear out Inferno, clear out Poltergeist statue spot, and then you can go 2-2 into the other side. Alright, so here comes SeelingKatt up against Poltergeist. Has Gao with Sword Tech 6 to use for stop. I think also has the stop spell. There it is. So gonna use stop and Ultima here against Spicy Chicken. Meanwhile, JS revivifying his team, and what that does is it allows him to continue this fight without that condemned timer over his head. Like that sword of Damocles that we know it all is. Drinks Glue posing a trivia question in the chat. I'll let the chat answer. Can the Illumina clear the image status? I know the answer to this, but I'll let our chat see if they know what the answer to it is. Illumina seems to be hitting pretty well for JS. And by pretty well, I mean non-critting. And there we go. Illumina's back, Atma Weapon back online for JS there. Meanwhile, nice weight tricking here by SeelingKatt, taking down the Spicy Chicken. Yeah, so Illumina will always hit, right? Regardless of whether the target in front of you has the image status or not. And any attack has a 25% chance to clear the image status. So since it's an attack, it has a chance to clear the image status. However, JS gets through, and now both of our runners just have one statue left. SeelingKatt, however, has 2 of her main party over to fight against the Doom statue, whereas JS, I think, only has 1 of his main party to go up against Poltergeist here. So chat, which position would you rather be in? Let me know. Alright, so here comes Doom. And we know that SeelingKatt has that Illumina. And since Illumina's what, chat? Always hit. It doesn't matter if Doom gets image status or not. Enot Sola says murder clears all statuses. That is also true. Alright, so SeelingKatt coming in with the Illumina from Celeste, but oh no! It's a travesty! Her entire team is frozen here, and just has to wait the countdown timers. Meanwhile, JS does have Gao, actually, in this spot, and Realm, so he does have 2 of his party members here. And also has Gogo, who can mimic that Ice Beam, and importantly, has Sword Tech 6 in order to stop Poltergeist. I think Drinks Glue accidentally fell on his keyboard. That's what he's saying. Alright, so Cyan unthaws out, but he's a zombie, so that's not really all that helpful. Meanwhile, JS here, using Ultimate plus Mimic and Sword Tech 7, which ignores defense. Alright, so SeelingKatt has 2 zombies and 10 seconds to get thawed out. And there it is, finally. Gonna use that Revivify on Realm. So now Realm does not have a condemned counter over her, but this Ice 3 may unfortunately just kill her here. Oh god, 19 HP. Cyan tried to take her out, but you cannot destroy the Realm, folks. And there it is, Spicy Chicken down first for JS as he ostensibly pulls into the lead with all of the statue bosses down. Meanwhile, we have 19 HP and 2 zombies, and oh no! It's a travesty. SeelingKatt. Oh. You hate to see it happen. Phone Wi-Fi is never fun. Hotel Wi-Fi's can be pretty decent, though. Depending upon what time of the night it is, of course. JS here on the precipice of getting to Final Kefka. Just has to get out of the menu long enough to head up to the switches. And oh no, 2 out of the 3 members are frozen again for SeelingKatt. Ugh. Doom and me have a personal beef that goes back to a race where I was like 15 minutes ahead of both of my other competitors for one of the Tournament of the Month finals, and I got stuck on Doom. Between bad end cross luck and not having anything to really deal with image and reflect in phase 2, it was a disaster. Meanwhile, JS stepping up to the plate, boys and girls. We've got Mute, we've got Sword Tech 8, and we've got Fenrir. So how long do you think this Final Kefka fight's gonna last? I'm gonna go with 8 minutes and 47 seconds. 1:32:25 is our start time here. Unfortunately, Fire Beam does not unfreeze party members because you can't target your own team with Fire Beam. The only thing you could do in this flag set is throw a Fire Rod at your own team. Alright, so finally, the frozen counter is out, but here it comes again. On its own. Like the only road that it's ever known. Meanwhile, JS is on to tier 1 here. Alright, that's the face down. The long arm was probably killed by instant death already by Sword Tech 8. And we just have that balled up fist ready to go. Setzer with that Atma weapon. Throw and Illumina from Celeste. Some magic from Realm. And Gao with Sword Tech 7. Meanwhile, phase 2 of Doom here. Oh, come on. Get that Revivify off. Stop with this spellcasting nonsense. She's just gonna get it off in time here. Alright, Realm goes down, but... oh no, 30 HP! Ugh. Dear Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, I paid for the entire seat, but I only need the edge here. Alright, phase 2 for Kefka's final form. Alright, we have Sword Tech 8, so that'll deal with tools. We have Mute, so that'll deal with magic. And in this seed, we cannot learn any ice spells, which is what Tiger's weakness is. But Tiger is also weak to getting Ultimate or Sword Tech 7 or getting Ninja Stars thrown at him. And there we go! SeelingKatt finally takes down Doom there. Just super unlucky there. Alright, JS, meanwhile, using that Ice Beam as the weakness against Tiger, and is going to mute Magic here. Because otherwise, Magic just annoys the heck out of you. Throws out a lot of spells, wastes a lot of time. Alright, so SeelingKatt is going to be stepping up to the plate here as well. It looks like she'll have a little bit more than like 3.5, maybe 4-minute deficit to make up for Final Kefka, depending upon how long she decides to spend in the menu here. Meanwhile, Realm with that heal beam, single target heal force. Really nice ability to have. Alright, JS waiting in the menu while the attack animations play out. Nice good usage of weight tricking here as his timers start ticking down further and further, closer to getting to 0. Unfortunately, with Sword Tech, the timers will still count down. Alright, and it looks like we've got at least 2 parts of this boss still left. Tiger, I think, is dead, but we still have Hit, and out comes 10 hits here. So waiting in the menu as to not have the timers tick down. And we've just got magic left. Looks like we're going to do some quick strats here for Celeste. So one of the other side effects of quick is that it stops everybody's ATB and everybody's condemned timer except for the count or the character that you used quick on. So a little bit of interesting interaction there between quick and condemned, if you will. Sword Tech 8 coming through for SeelingKatt using Cleave on that long arm. And now she's got to pour on the damage to make up this couple of minute deficit here. Can she do it? Alright, that looks like it's magic dead for JS. Moving on to tier 3. Alright, so SeelingKatt decided, hey, I'm going to throw up Fenrir now on tier 1, because remember, multi-summon is on, and this is great to have image status cast on yourself, because tier 1 does basically physical attacks, and that's it. So really nice heads-up play from SeelingKatt, knowing the flags, knowing to use that multi-summon ability there. Meanwhile, JS going up against tier 3, got to take out Girl first. Throwing a couple of ninja stars at her for about 9,000 damage. Now just needs to do another hit with Setzer, and that is one half of the boss down, and here comes the second half. 40,000 HP from Sleep. We'll start countering with things like Meteo and Train when he's under 10,000 HP. So that's when he starts to get a little dangerous here. What's even more dangerous is that in this flag set, when your characters die, they turn into zombies. So that means you could still have them accidentally attack Sleep and proc even more Meteos while you're trying to regain control of your party. JS not messing around, using Quick here in order to get a couple of hits on Setzer. One thing with Quick is that it allows you to take 2 turns without any counterattacks, so Sleep could not counter during those 2 turns. Between the Ultima and the 2 Atma weapon hits, he's got to be getting close to being dead here. Using Doom on tools there. And out comes the Ultima cast from Strago. Unfortunately, here comes a Meteo. Thankfully, SeelingKatt's team is still left alive. I mean, JS's team is still left alive. Setzer here did get hit with a Meteo, but still has 4,500 HP. So a couple of swings here for 8,000 damage should about do it. And there's Calmness. It will whiff because of the image status. And that means JS is headed up to tier 4 here. And as Drinks Glue points out, give these runners a follow for putting on the show tonight for everybody. SeelingKatt, meanwhile, still on tier number 2. Has muted magic and has killed tools. And I think Tiger just died. So now is left with 2. However, JS is staring down the face of Final Kefka. And one of the annoying things about Auto Condemned is that timer will still tick down as Kefka is deciding to make his grand old entrance. Thanks a lot, you jerk. Alright, so here comes Quick from Celeste, allowing her to get a couple of turns here at once. And it looks like she's not messing around. She's throwing the big stuff. Boom, 8k damage. Here comes another big stuff. Alright, so that's 13,000 damage so far. Final Kefka will use Fallen 1 after his first turn unless he is under 30,000 HP of his 60-something thousand, 61, 62 that he starts off with. So that's something to watch out for here. Will additionally start countering stuff with Hyperdrive and Havoc Wing. Havoc Wing won't be a problem with the image status, but Hyperdrive certainly will. And then will counter with Ultima if he's under 10,000 HP. So JS has to be a little careful here. So alright, so out comes the Hyperdrive. We now know Kefka is underneath 30,000 HP remaining. Here comes another Hyperdrive, and it looks like we got 2 zombies on our team. And that is not good, because Celeste has an Illumina. And Illuminas always hit, remember? SeelingKatt, meanwhile, up to tier 3. So clawing on the heels of JS here. Thankfully, Celeste hits the right target, plus the proc, as a zombie. However, is this going to come up with a different type of counter? No, it's the end coming beyond chaos here. So no counters happen during this phase of Kefka. Now is the time to hit him with everything you got. Oh no! An unfortunate whiff from Setzer there. Can Dow do enough damage to kill Kefka before Goner comes off? Let's see. That's it! GG's for js8271986 is the final time. He is your winner for tonight's race. GG's for JS. Alright, so SeelingKatt starting off with tier 3 here. Cracking open an Ultima. And we're joined by JS, I think. Can you hear me? If you can, your microphone is muted. Medio coming out for sleep here, so that means that SeelingKatt better get her calmness protection on. So there we go, we got Fenrir. And
can you hear me?
Hey, we can hear you. How's
there
it
we
going?
go.
Congratulations on your win tonight. GG's.
Thank you, thank you. I needed that. It's been a rough last couple weeks.
Well, this is kind of a rough seed there. You did how many checks? 25 checks, I think?
Yeah, 25 checks.
Like that. Yeah, a lot of dead checks. Couldn't find the Espers. So for Goddess flag sets, what is your general strategy here as SeelingKatt is up to Final Kefka now?
You know, at first it was just go, 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 and now I've kind of figured out going and getting that auto haste at the beginning with the injured lad is well worth it. Oh, that helps so much. It just speeds everything up in the beginning. You know, with the Goddess flag set, I'm mainly looking for physical offense and just going from there. I kind of use it the same as like with Doom, because Doom is such high vigor and just going with that. But that's just kind of how I go with it. And having throw and sword tech right away, that was nice.
Yeah, so it took you a little bit in order to get over to Cyan's Dream to unlock that sword tech. Did you sort of want to wait until you knew you could beat whatever boss was in the dream, or did you just have other faster checks you wanted to do instead?
I forgot that Magitech upgrade was not on this, to be honest. So that's why I
That's
went
why
to
you did
Magitech
Magitech first. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
That
Otherwise, I would have went to Cyan first.
that makes total sense there,
Hmm.
for sure.
So there you go. That's why you need to know your flags.
Yeah, no, read the flags, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
Yeah, so this seed was really interesting because we had very strong commands in this seed, which is sometimes something that you struggle for in Goddess flag sets. We had those Illuminas for sale in Vector as well, as, you know, all of Sword Tech and Throw, and tools, even with some decent tools in shops right away early. So, was it just, you know, I want to go do things as fast as possible here?
That's pretty much what I was thinking. I went to the most dense checks, you know, obviously Magitech and Dream, and I was just thinking that would be the best. Catch some dragons. I mean, I think my levels were mid 40s, wasn't it? I didn't even check. I just knew I was pretty strong, pretty high on that end.
Yeah, I think it was you were certainly in the mid 40s, and there it is. We're putting Kefka in jail. GG's for SeelingKatt, 146.27, a super duper close race.
Yeah, I needed redemption from that, as we were talking about in the thread earlier, how I soft logged myself against Cat a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so it must feel nice to put your team up 1-0 so far in this week, especially in your, you know, I'll pull up the standings here. Your squad, Team Phoenix right now sitting in 3rd place on the outside looking in. We still have a couple of weeks left to go, but always good to get yourself out in front. So yeah, what else about this flag set did you find interesting? You said you always go for Injured Lad first with the haste. The statues gave you a bit of a problem here with this race.
Yeah, that Doom. I knew I should have equipped Edgar with all better stuff because I knew I had an Illumina. Knew he could equip it. I should have just put it on him from the beginning, instead of thinking, "Oh, Setzer can just get me through." But I didn't think. I also forgot. I didn't think about the image. I was like, "Oh, I don't have anything for that," and then I was just, you know, hoping maybe I might get through, and obviously that didn't work. So. And he liked using freezing me a lot on that one, so I wasn't real happy about that. But it happens.
Yeah, Doom was very rude this seed. I think both of you had to fight Doom multiple times because of, you know, getting characters frozen. Characters freezing plus condemned counter equals disaster.
Yeah, yeah. I probably stayed on there. It stayed on that first fight a little too long. But I just kept thinking, just maybe. But I probably should have bowed out pretty quick on that one after getting frozen like 7 times.
Yeah, because there was definitely a point in that fight where you had all 3 of your characters frozen, and then on top of that, it was one of them was a zombie underneath it too. So it was just it was disaster all around. And we're also joined in the booth by SeelingKatt. SeelingKatt, congratulations on your finish there. Unfortunately, just a couple of minutes behind, but a great showing nonetheless.
Yeah, I messed up my tower entry, and I knew it was going to cost me, and that was just about how long I was behind.
Yeah, so at first I was like, you know, I thought that you being at 22 checks, you were going to go, all right, well, let's dive in, let's get the dragon, and let's get to Skip. But actually not getting Skip helped you out way more than getting Skip in the first place.
It does turn out that way, because I got stuck on those outer lanes, so I had to warp out. So I could just hit one more quick check and warp right back in.
Yeah, so both of you were having a lot of problems with finding Espers in this seed. Kat, is there something that you usually like to do before doing the auction house, or were you just like, well, I'm here because of Owzers anyway, let's just get this over with?
Well, I checked I checked the auction house way back when I did Owzers, but you can see I waited until the last possible moment to actually do auction. It's definitely my last choice because of the RNG, but I just wasn't seeing any quick checks left that I could do that I hadn't already checked. I didn't particularly want to do Celeste Opera House.
Yeah, we did not see what Celeste Opera House is. There was also quite a bit of differences with characters in this seed. You, unfortunately, went up through the world of Ruin Narsh, and then, of course, you came back down and then found Yeti was the reward at Esper Mountain after you'd already done that. That was a bit of a bummer there as well.
Although, honestly, I probably would have left the Yeti. Not that I don't love a good Yeti, but I wasn't going to try for 9 characters at this point.
Mm-hmm. Well, Edgar was waiting. Not Edgar. Gogo was waiting at the Yeti cave, so that is how JS you got your 9th character, and then you saw Sabin when you were looking for Espers. I'm guessing had that been an imp sprite there at the engine room, you would have went down there.
Absolutely. I don't know if you noticed, but I waited a few seconds. I was contemplating going ahead and doing Sabin because of his checks as well, because they're so fast between Collapsing House and Baron's Fall. But I was just like, nope. And so I skipped out on that.
Yeah, same. I was too focused on the Espers, but you're right. That probably would have been a good choice.
Well, it probably would have been all dead too, considering all the dead checks we already had. Oh, it was awful.
Yeah, 25 checks, I think, JS, and 23 checks for Kat. It was just, it was kind of brutal. It was very hard to come by Espers in this particular seed as well. So not a whole lot.
I gotta say, I was kind of proud of myself because I'm pretty bad about looting a lot. I only picked up 52 chests.
There you go.
My minimum's usually like 80.
Gotta get those shinies.
Well, I
think, that's right.
Yeah, both of you checked the Vector weapon shop and found the Illuminas. So I think that
sweet Illuminas.
That sort of precluded any of your, hey, I'm going to go I'm going to go now loot all of the things looking for Illuminas. Oh wait, I don't have to do that, you know.
I hardly used it anyways. I only picked up one, and for Celis, and she ended up being better with throw and those ninja stars.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely helped out. I know, Kat, when you went back into the tower, you're like, well, now I know which boss is which. I'm putting my Illumina user against Doom, so I can finally get into the second phase. And then, of course, your Doom freeze luck was just abysmal.
Doom was a jerk.
Yes. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, there was multiple, like, just standing around waiting for freeze while that timer ticks down and you're getting all sorts of anxiety coming back. It's like, come on now, guys.
Yeah.
So, JS, any other final thoughts about the race or about the event in general you wanna share?
Man, this has been a blast. These have been my favorite flag sets so far. Like any of the other flag sets we've had in the past, for some reason I've had like problems like really getting a hold of them, getting a good grip. Minus Ultros League, but these have they're fun. I really enjoy them. They're not overbearing, and you don't have one that's just so much harder than the other. Like sometimes we have these events and it's like, oh my gosh, I just absolutely hate this flag set. And then these I really enjoy all 3 of these flag sets. They've all been fun. They're all different. They all have their own little quirks, and they're nice to run with.
Let the hate flow through you, my boy. But yes, thank you so much for volunteering as well to be on Restream. Can't have the races without you. So appreciate it.
Thank you for restreaming. We realize it's a lot of work for you guys to do that.
Listen, I was procrastinating today. It is a lazy Sunday after all, so I was able to rig up 3 broadcasts. So that's always fun, bringing the quality content to the people. So thank you again. And so SeelingKatt, you got any other final thoughts about this race or the event in general?
Oh, I'm loving this event. I agree with JS. These flag sets are just different enough from standard to be fun without being too annoying. I love the fact that we're matched up against somebody of similar skill levels, so I feel like I got a fair shot at winning at any given race, and not like, it's over before it even started. Yeah, it's been a blast, and I also appreciate the fact that you and the rest of the Restream crew have been working so hard to put so many of these on the air.
Yeah, well, again, can't have the races without the runners, so thank you for volunteering to be featured on stream. This is a really great, really close race, so I'm excited to watch this one back myself, because I love hearing myself talk, of course. But yeah, no, I think that we've done really well with the event. These particular seeds are longer and slightly more difficult than usual. And I think hopefully when the event is done, people will go back to, the more standard race flags and go, wow, this is a lot easier than I remember it being, which is really interesting. So
yeah, I gotta swing with that weighted bat.
That's right.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for, duking it out here live in front of the millions and millions of people watching around the world. And we appreciate it, and we'll catch you later.
Sounds good.
Right.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Schwantz.
All right, bye-bye.
GG's.
Okay, everybody, well, that's going to do it for us here. Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Warring Triad. Another race finished up here. We'll go back over to the standings here. As we mentioned, this is week 4 of Warring Triads. So our team's jockeying for position. Phoenix team with JS getting on the board first, hoping to bring his team into playoff contention as well. We did have Ultima and Grand Train earlier on today, as well as Valiant and Minerva. And hopefully we could bring you some more races as we continue on throughout the rest of the week. And there's still time for each of these teams in order to claw back in, because there are 6 weeks, and we do take the top 2 teams from each group into the bracket phase. So there's still plenty of ways that this can end up. So this will be pretty exciting. Hopefully you join us again, and we'll catch you on the next one. See you later now.